What nobody tells you before you move to a new country is that the hardest part isn't the flight, the boxes, or even saying goodbye. The hardest part starts the moment you land and realize that everything you knew how to do automatically, you now have to figure out from scratch. And if you're watching this, you're either about to go through that or you're already in the middle of it. Either way, this video is going to give you a real roadmap for the integration process, not the generic advice you find everywhere, but the actual sequence that works. This is video 23 in our relocation series, and today we are getting into the practical side of building your life in a new country. Language, laws, community, work. Let's go. Let's start with the thing that unlocks everything else. Language, and I'm not talking about being fluent before you leave your house. I'm talking about functional survival language first, then you build from there. When you arrive somewhere new, your brain is already overloaded. You're dealing with sensory overload, decision fatigue, emotional adjustment, all at the same time. So don't try to become conversational in month 1. That's not realistic and it will drain you. What you should do instead is identify the 20 to 30 phrases that get you through daily life. Grocery shopping, asking for directions, understanding basic signage, interacting with your landlord. That's your first goal. Apps like Duolingo, Babbel, or even YouTube channels in your target language give you a strong starting foundation. But the real accelerator is using the language with real people as fast as possible, even when it's uncomfortable, even when you make mistakes. Especially then. Here is something most people don't realize. The locals aren't judging you as harshly as you think. Most people respect the effort. A broken attempt at the local language almost always gets a warmer response than speaking English and expecting everyone to adjust. So lean into the discomfort. It gets easier faster than you expect. Now, right alongside language, you need to understand the laws and regulations in your new country. And this is where a lot of immigrants and expats run into problems because they assume things work the same way they did back home. They don't. Tax obligations, lease agreements, tenant rights, road rules, local registration requirements, healthcare access, these things vary massively from country to country and even region to region. Spend your first few weeks researching these basics. Find out if you need to register your address with a local authority. Understand your rights as a tenant. Know what your visa status allows you to do in terms of work or business activity. If you have children, understand the school enrollment process and any legal obligations tied to that. This isn't glamorous stuff, but ignorance of local law is never an excuse, and catching problems early is always better than dealing with consequences later. Look for expat forums, legal aid services, community organizations in your area that specialize in helping newcomers. Many cities have official newcomer programs run by local government or NGOs that can walk you through exactly this kind of administrative framework. Use those resources. They exist for a reason. Now here's where we get to something that research shows is one of the single biggest factors in how well people integrate. Community. Human beings are wired for belonging. When you move to a new place and you don't have that yet, everything feels harder, the challenges feel bigger, the loneliness amplifies every difficulty. But when you have even a small group of people who understand you, who you can call, who you can share a meal with, your resilience goes up dramatically. Finding your community starts with finding people who share your background. Yes, this sounds counterintuitive. A lot of advice tells you to avoid the expat bubble or the immigrant community and just assimilate immediately. That advice ignores human psychology. You need a bridge. Your familiar community acts as that bridge. It gives you a safe space to process your experiences, get practical advice from people who've been through the same thing, and maintain your sense of identity during a period when everything else is unfamiliar. This doesn't mean you close yourself off to the local community. Absolutely not. You need both. Join local clubs, attend neighborhood events, take a class in something you enjoy. Sport, cooking, art, language exchange meetups. These are fantastic because they connect you with locals and give you structured interaction without the pressure of navigating pure social situations in a new language. Volunteering is another underrated strategy. When you give your time to a local cause, you meet people who share your values, you build trust faster, and you develop a sense of purpose in your new environment. All of this accelerates integration in a way that passive socializing simply doesn't. And then there's work. Getting into employment or establishing a sustainable income stream is one of the fastest ways to integrate into a new society. Work gives you routine, social connection, language practice, financial stability, and a sense of contribution. all in one place. But navigating the job market in a new country has its own learning curve. Start by understanding how your qualifications translate in your new country. In some fields and some countries, your foreign credentials are recognized immediately. In others, you may need to have them assessed, certified, or supplemented with local training. Find this out early because it affects your timeline and your strategy. Update your resume or curriculum vitae to match local norms. The format, length, and emphasis that works in one country can actually work against you in another. LinkedIn is universally useful in most Western and many Asian markets, so make sure your profile is strong and current. Network aggressively. Most jobs are filled through connections before they're ever advertised. Talk to people in your field, attend industry events, reach out to people on LinkedIn who are in roles you're targeting, ask for informational interviews, be genuinely curious about how things work in your new market. That curiosity will open more doors than any job board. Integration is not a single moment. It's a process. Some days you'll feel like you're nailing it. Other days you'll wonder what you were thinking. Both of those experiences are completely normal and completely valid. The key is to keep moving forward intentionally. Language, laws, community, work. 4 pillars, build them all at the same time, piece by piece. That is how you go from surviving to genuinely thriving in your new home. Drop your biggest integration challenge in the comments below. I read every single one. And if this video helped you, the next one in this series covers something most people completely overlook until it's almost too late. You don't want to miss it.